Good evening, everybody out there. We're coming off a 4-2 Oilers win against the Panthers, and joining me tonight are my guests, Ryan Lotzberg in the middle, and my right winger way out there in Vegreville, Alberta, home of the Easter egg. Probably lives close to my grandma and didn't know it. Is Kirk Morris. How you doing, guys?
Yeah, Mike, how you doing?
Doing a little better. I was worried big time about today. We got our heads handed to us by the Hurricanes, and Florida seemed to handle them with a 3-0 shutout. So today I was really nervous about the game. And, 7 minutes in, we didn't register a shot. It wasn't looking too good, but, Stu gave them a chance to kind of gingerly wake up and made a hockey game out of it and come out of it with a win.
Yeah, good on Skinner. I'll say that much.
Yeah, I mean, if there's any question,
he's been the better of the two goalies so far, for sure.
If there's any question who your starter is now, I think it's sort of been answered here.
Mm-hmm.
I feel bad for Campbell. Like that game in Carolina, he was 20 seconds away from having a awesome period, and looked like we were going to get two solid starts out of him back to back. But I think that late goal, really got in his head and seems like a fragile goalie to me.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead there, Ryan.
I think wasn't it 2 goals, like right at the end of the first and again right at the end of the second in the Carolina game? Like there were 2 goals right at the end of period. So if you eliminate those little mistakes, it's a 2-1 game.
And I don't necessarily think he's at fault for those, but it just kind of got to him, and then the wheels kind of came off for the guy.
Yeah, for sure. That third period, I think the whole team just kind of had a mental lapse. Like as soon as that 5th goal happened, then it was lights out.
Yeah, it was kind of over by then. This trip's been kind of surprising, right? Like you go into Washington, and all you heard for 3 days prior was Stauffer barking about how they were missing $40 million out of their lineup, and I think we kind of sleepwalked in that game, and were victimized by some play from Ovi and Kuznetsov, and it didn't look good there. And then we go into Tampa against a strong club and put up a pretty strong effort, and you think, okay, Campbell's on his way back, and then kind of that game in Carolina happens, and you walk into today thinking, shit, this could be a brutal road trip for us, and they come out of there with a win. And anytime you go 500 on the road, I think that's a good thing. Sure, you'd like to win 1 more or 2 more if you can do that, but all in all, on a tough Eastern road swing, I'm not upset with where they are.
Yeah, that's all you can ask for. I thought, just like you said there, like with the local media there, with the Washington game, it's going to be a cakewalk. Should be able to get 2 points easily, all this and that. There is no easy games in the NHL. 0. Yeah. You have to show up every night. And just like you said, I think everybody's seen it, just sleepwalk central, and they really didn't get their feet under them until it was way too late and they were over their heads. And then you go to Tampa and you figure, it's going to be a brutal, slaying it again. And everybody showed up, played awesome defense. It's really frustrating to see these guys not put a consistent effort into the defense side. I think it's pretty obvious that they can handle themselves on the offensive side. It's just from the neutral zone back towards their own net, they seem to have mental lapses.
You kind of get wrapped up in the wins losses, but I think sort of what gets lost a little bit, and it's crazy to think, but McDavid and Draisaitl are unreal right now, and we know that, but you kind of don't really soak it in really like you should. Like, it's phenomenal what they're doing. I mean, today, pretty they only had a point each, right? Like it's like, like when there's really not many games where they're both held scoreless, and when they do just get a point, it's like, oh, they just got a point. Like it's phenomenal what they're doing.
Only a point, you bums. Get off the ice.
Come on, get after it.
Like you said, there are no superlatives. There aren't enough words in the language to fully describe what these guys can do and what they've been doing. Like these guys, they're in the peaks of their careers right now, and they're just dominant.
Yeah, and really, as much as people want to talk about it, but our power play isn't really firing on all cylinders right now either. So it's it's crazy to think that they can build on what they've been doing, exponential growth of their point totals. Like it's unbelievable. What do you guys think of where Warren Fogle is right now?
I think he's playing great hockey.
Yeah, you can't complain. Sorry for walking on you there again.
Okay, go ahead, buddy.
But he seems to find his groove there finally. There, like I think as far as today goes, like he was present in all of the zones. Like he was forechecking hard. He had a gaff there on that second goal there from Florida, but you're gonna have mistakes. Like people get focused on the puck there and then lose coverage of their own of their own like area there and lose track of people. But overall, I thought he's been great actually on this entire road trip. He's been one of the bright lights throughout the last 4 games, as far as I'm considered.
Behind me there, if people are seeing the first cat, is Thor, and the more blonde one is the first one's Loki, and the more blonde one is Thor. So I've got the Avengers, and they'll probably fight behind me here for supremacy. So.
If people are going to look at the last couple of games of Fogle and say, "Oh, he's got 2 goals in the last 2 games. He must be playing well right now." But this has been coming for him for a while. There's been a lot of games where he's been really good on the forecheck. His underlying numbers have all been above 50%. And he's been in on a lot of chances, whether they be setting it up for somebody else or just making stuff happen. The puck's not going in for him, but now it's starting to. It was great to see all the relief pouring out of him after he scored that shorty against Tampa, and it's nice to see him keep it going against Florida today. So good on him.
So the YouTube chat is kind of lighting up. I should probably comment a little bit on that so people know that we're seeing what they're saying. But Renegade Man 83, wonder if that has anything to do with Hammer. But at this stage, Skinner should play more games. Yeah, I think that's kind of the case. I mean, I don't think you can sit Campbell for too long, but you got to build some wins right now. It almost, I was thinking today that it's almost like last year when the Oilers kind of had to ride Koskinen for a little while so Smith could kind of find his game, and it definitely feels sort of the same way right now. Skinner's really, I can't think of a really poor start that he's had. He hasn't won every game that he's been in the net, but I can't think of a poor start. So, and today, I mean, that was a pretty tidy goaltending effort. He turned aside 40 shots out of 42, I think it was. I mean, you can't ask for too much more than that.
Yeah, he's been solid. I think it's a good comparison for sure. I think Gregor pointed out we got 3 games in the next 10 days. So there's going to be some practice time for Campbell to sort his stuff out, get that glove looked at. Get a new one if he needs.
Yeah.
Hopefully new gear. Hopefully. Rick.
Yeah.
So frustrating.
This Jax guy on YouTube says they play well when they stay out of the penalty box. And, yeah, they've been a little bit more disciplined lately. And, as awful as that whole Kane injury was, I think, you gain a little bit of discipline not having him. But that kind of leads me to something else that I was thinking, too, is, the guy, Janmark and Kostin, I think it is, that filled in. I liked what I've seen out of them, but I'm just wondering if you might need to go to somebody like Ryan Malone just to have a little bit more of a physical presence out there, or you just try to, win hockey games and not worry about the extracurricular. I'm not sure. Florida was a team really that could have bullied us a little bit, but I didn't really see too much of that today. So.
Yeah, I mean, the way I've always looked at it is putting a guy that might be a little stronger, a little more physical on the fourth line. Like, I don't see how that wins you a hockey game. You get that guy in the ice for 6-7 minutes a night, and you might hit somebody 2 or 3 hits. Maybe he gets into a fight. Like, I don't see how that makes or gives your team a significant advantage. So you got to play your team game, and that's not the Oilers game. The Oilers game is speed and special teams.
There's 2 ways to look at that, I think, and one is like you said, and the other is, well, he might not help you, but he might not hurt you either. So I don't know. I don't really. I don't really have a definitive opinion on that. I think they won today. Go on to the next game and maybe take it game by game, depending on who you're playing. Maybe if it is against Calgary and it's a bit of a
Did you guys hear?
We only have one more game against the Flames. Is that right? We've played 2.
Yep. Yeah, it's not until later in the year.
Yeah. So I think it's December.
Did you guys hear what happened to Yams there, or was there any release, official release, upper body, lower body, or they just got sent back to Edmonton and that was it?
I didn't hear anything specific.
I have the notion that they might be worried he's got a concussion, because they were bringing up like old stuff that happened to him and talking about that. So yeah.
That play in the preseason against the Canucks where we think he got hurt on, where he went into the boards real awkward there. I don't know if it was the ribs, maybe it was shoulder. Head is a very distinct possibility because that would explain the long gap. And he hasn't had his hands all year. He hasn't been the same player. So maybe there is something up.
Yeah, this Epiphany off of YouTube here says Yams was rocked a few times and he's not exactly a giant. Nope, he's not, and maybe there's something to that. Maybe this has been lingering. I don't know. I'm not trying to build him excuses, but who knows? I certainly don't. I think the one thing I appreciated about Evander Kane was how open he was about what happened to him. That's a rarity for anything in the NHL. I mean, it's hard to hide the evidence of what went on there, but. Basically saying he was cut right to the bone. I mean, you don't hear that kind of stuff usually ever. So, and I hope, he doesn't have any lingering effects from what happened to him. I mean, that's brutal. And it reminds me of, I don't think you can really see it, but I was reaching for a puck one time in a rec hockey game, and guy skate in front of me came up and clipped me and severed my lip, and I hit the deck, and the Darcy Tucker or Ryan Smith and me figured I needed to finish my shift before I went off, and I skate off, and the guys are like, yeah, you need to go to the room. I'm like, why? And they're like, touch your mouth. And I didn't even know I was bleeding until I did that, but no risk for me of bleeding out or anything like that, but just a freak, unfortunate incident, and this one and the Taylor Hall getting stepped on, and Brian Marchment, when he went crashing into the board there. Those to me are the 3 most dangerous incidents I've ever seen out of the Oilers, and I'm thankful that's all we've ever seen, and that's all I really remember in all my years of watching this club that were really, really scary incidents. Guys get hurt and injured and all that, but where you fear they're not going to make it, I, as a hockey player, skates or lacerations are probably the thing I get queasy at the most. Yeah.
The one, or actually the 2 incidents that really stick out in my mind involving skates. Clint Malarchuk there in 87.
Yeah.
And then Carlson there getting his Achilles tendon severed there too when he got stepped on.
I think there was another one. I think it was a Zhitnik had another neck in, like skate to the neck.
Yeah, that's right.
Like Malarchuk, and people were saying the other day, I was in a thread or whatever, and they were saying they think of Malarchuk. In that moment though, we didn't know how bad it was with Kane. that could be life threatening too. You sever an artery, it you can bleed out that way too. So I'm glad that never happened, and he got off and had the presence of mind to get the hell out of there as quick as he could, and they got him the help he needed, and he's going to be all good. I don't care what you feel about Evander Kane, off the ice, but those kind of incidents, I mean, I think we're all on the same page as just hope he's okay, when that's going down.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just hoping the best for the player, and hope he makes a quick recovery and a full recovery and can come back and keep being the guy he is.
Well, he said there in the interview there with Gene there in the second period, he said he can feel his fingers, he can move them all well. Yeah. So that's a huge step right there.
Yeah. Gene was right in the thick of it too. Like, heard him running down the hallway saying, "Help, help, help." Good on Gene. I mean, he's always there. What do you guys feel about the season so far? Is this kind of what you expected? Like, they don't seem to make anything easy for us as fans, but are any prediction changes, or are you still confident with this group, or what do you think?
Prediction changes. I could burn mine all the hell right now, pretty much. Don't even mention Vancouver.
We'll just leave it with this team. I won't burn you for other stuff.
You can go ahead there, Rye.
I don't think we've seen the best of the Oilers yet. Like, we're sitting 2 games. It's 9-7 that we're at right now.
Yeah.
Penalty kills, allowing a goal or two every game, pretty much. Defensive lapses, inconsistent goaltending. So, no, this isn't what I expected. I expected a lot more. But the fact that we have all that going on and we're still 2 games above 500 is a good sign, surely. But I expect more from the Oilers. There's always going to be ups and downs throughout the season. It's not going to be 82 games where you play at a specific clip the entire way, right? There's going to be ebbs and flows and ups and downs. So there's going to be a hot stretch soon enough, and we'll probably have a 4 or 5 game losing streak at some point in the year. We're playing just average hockey right now, and we're getting by, and we're in a good spot. But yeah, I expect more, and we'll get it.
My biggest kind of downer was Dylan Holloway. He's been mainly a passenger so far. As a rookie in the league, you're gonna make mistakes. It's just guaranteed. It's how you bounce back. And yeah, as of late, he has bounced back more and more each game. But do you want him playing like 8 minutes a night, or do you want him to go full throttle in the AHL and grow his game even more? But I get that feeling that they're going to keep him up here for the next little while here still, barring any more injuries and whatnot. But and as far as Campbell goes, I was expecting a slow start from him, and with his confidence, like you said there before, they got three games in the next 10 days. He's obviously gonna. I think he'll get better. He has to get better, obviously. But sorry, say that again.
Can't get much worse.
Well, can only look up from here, right? But that game in Tampa, like I thought he had 0 happy feet. He saw the puck well, he tracked the puck well, and then it was just like Durst said there at the beginning of the show, it was 10 seconds away from a perfect period, pretty much. He had a strong showing, and then the wheels fell off. So how do you rebuild his confidence? There's no other way to do it, but you got to keep throwing him out there and just try to build it brick by brick.
Yeah, I think he has to play his way out of that funk, but on the same token, you need to kind of develop, or they need to build a little bit of cushion. So, I wouldn't go back to him right away. Let Stuart do his thing, and when the next back-to-back is, I haven't looked too far down the schedule, but that's probably when I would go to him. Let him practice and work on some things, and yeah.
You can't let him sit for too long, though, right? Like,
no.
You got to give him a game here and there. So
No, but
shoot, right? The same idea. You're missing shots at basketball. You gotta
shoot your way out of it.
Yeah. You gotta just let him play every once in a while. But and this is a great spot for Stuart Skinner to be in right now too. It's a great for his development, like getting a little more action and proving that he can be an adequate goaltender in the NHL or more than. He's been great.
You touched on Holloway there for a second there, Kirk, and he has that gaffe the other night, but then I think he settled down and kind of got into a bit of a groove, but kind of got bumped out of where he was playing, and Fogle got moved up, and I don't really question that. I think Fogle's kind of earned a little bit more time, and he receives a nifty little drop pass from Draisaitl today and buries it. And looks like he's a shooter again. He always did have a good snap and wrist shot in Carolina, and it would be great if he found it here for us and picked up that offensive kind of capability. Michael in the group chat with all of us was talking about Puljujärvi. Where are you guys at with Jesse and what do you think of?
Yeah, want to go for it, Kirk?
Yeah, thanks, man. He does a lot of little, like I said there the other night with Michael, he does a lot of little things right, but at the end of the day, you got to finish it. What you put on the score sheet is what matters the most. He's had plenty of opportunity. I know a lot of people are going to probably be screaming at me after I say this, but I think the third line suits him well because he's insulated. He can do his thing there with the on the defensive side of the puck, and he's got no confidence right now. Like anything near the net.
I'll push back on that a little bit, Kirk, because I think that all kind of got thrown out the window with Kane getting hurt. I think he was in a good spot there, and then Evander gets hurt, and now you're left with, okay, what do we do? We gotta fill some gaps, and then you take Yamamoto out of the lineup, and now you're really thin.
Well, what about a rotating Holloway, Puljujärvi, and then Fogle? I
think that's what you're probably going to see. I think that's probably what you're going to see. I mean, there's only so many wingers, right, that have some skill and can do some things. For me with Jesse, I'd like to see him be a Ryan Smith on the top line, get to the net, and Hyman does it. Get to the net and just bang home any loose change. You need to get one, and then start to build off of that. But you got to get the first one. And that's how you build confidence. I mean, I'll use a basketball analogy, but if I'm struggling on the basketball court and I can't hit anything, I go to the rim. I don't elevate like Michael Jordan, but I go as close as I can to the basket, make something, and then start working back from there. And I think that's how he's got to approach the game. Just make it simple, get something, and go from there. Didn't he get a goal that kind of banked off him? Does he have one?
He's got one.
Yeah. And it was like a point shot or something.
I think it was a tip in.
Yeah.
It was off a point shot. He tipped it in. So he's got to get a few like that for sure. That's the only thing missing from Puljujärvi's game is some finish, and you need that if you're going to be a top six.
Yeah, and I mean today
he knows he knows how to read the game. He defends fairly well. He forechecks well. He makes things happen.
He's adapted his game over the summer. Like it's not the same as what it was prior. He's more physical today. I mean, Kulak goes to the net and it's stopped, but guess who's in the middle of the scrum? And it's not something you expect to see. But Puljujärvi was right in the middle of that scrum, and he didn't really do a lot, but he had a hold of two guys and the big grin and all that. But hey, before he would shy away from any of that and just kind of exit the scene.
That's the one thing I've noticed this year. He stepped up his physicality, and that's a good sign. Like that's part of building your confidence.
Yeah, I think Kane has something to do with it, but you gotta be committed to doing it too. So he deserves credit as well.
Yeah, 100%.
And the end of the game today, he makes a good play and bats a puck down and it was only a 1 foot pass to McDavid, but McDavid gets it to Nuge, and that ices the game. He's on the ice for that, and he did the right thing there. But yeah, he's got to break the goose egg, and so does Yamamoto, and I mean it's like this team has been carried by Leon and Connor, and they've bought these guys time, but they eventually are going to need these guys to start contributing and helping out. They can't carry the load forever.
Like when Puljujärvi's coming up in juniors, big thing about him was his shot. Like he can rip the puck, and we've seen it here in the NHL a bunch. He can rip it, but there's been a lot of times where the shot's just rushed. Like if you look at Nugent Hopkins, he's getting a lot of his goals in the slot, but they're all wrist shots. They're not hard snap shots. Puljujärvi, it's like he's panicking and he just gets the shot off to get it off quickly. Whereas Nugent Hopkins, he's corralling it with soft hands and he's picking his spot. Puljujärvi just needs that little bit more composure in front of the net, and his goals will start to come for him.
Yeah. The other thing I've noticed with Yessi is that, like, his best chances, he defers.
Yeah,
I was going to ask you guys about that. Like, what's with all the deferrals? Like the 2-on-1s, I'm going to pass it. Drives me insane. Like
Fogle had Draisaitl on the left wing, so I don't really fault him for that. But you're not the passer, though. You're not Draisaitl. Like, it needed to be a Draisaitl pass to Draisaitl there for that to go. I mean, and Fogle just doesn't do that. He should have ripped that one. But
even
yes, he does the same thing. I mean, when his best opportunities, and I don't really fault people for looking for their teammates, but there's a time when you're in that prime real estate, let it go.
Yeah, I think that's something he was trying to focus on coming into the year too, being a little bit more of a playmaker at times, rather than just always shooting and then not scoring.
Yeah.
People are stepping back at that, right? Like that fan day scrimmage, I know he made a couple plays where it was like, okay, you should have shot that, but he made a creative pass back, so okay, but shoot the puck.
Yeah. Just, the grade A chances, or you're basically in all alone, but you're looking back for somebody and forcing a bad pass, and then it goes the other way, and yeah. You guys think, in the summer, and it's been going probably for a year and a half now, it was either Barrie or Bouchard. I'm kind of in the spot where I think we need them both now. Like, I'm not really, lynching Barrie anymore. I think there's a place on this team for both guys. I don't know. If one's struggling, the other one's usually not, and to have them both, and two weapons, that they both possess, I think is helpful. I think there needs to be, Niemelainen adds a physical presence to the back end, but it would be nice to have another physical defenseman on the left side as well. I think that's the area of concern for me is getting another left shot D to, kind of really help out Nursson and Kulak.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. If you look at the depth chart, you got CC and Bush and Barrie on the right, so that's pretty strong. You got two really good puck movers, and then CC, decent puck mover, better shutdown guy than the other two. And then you got Nurse, and then you got Kulak and Niemelainen right now, or Murray, or whoever it is. But definitely not a lot of sandpaper there.
And I don't know. I'm kind of in my head now. I wonder if they really focus on playing 11-7. I think at times is okay, but I wonder if that takes a toll over a sustained, say 30 game stretch. If 25 of those games you're going 11-7 out of 30, I'd like to know some analytics on what that actually helps, benefits, hurts, that kind of thing. Because
what 11-7 does is it gives Connor and Leon a little bit more ice time. But you know what else gives them more ice time? Being down a goal in the third period. Doesn't matter whether we're playing 12-6 or 11-7. If we're down, Connor and Leon are getting more time.
Yep.
So I don't know what the numbers say.
And the thing is, if you like the younger guys that are who played for Woodcroft and Bakersfield, he played 11-7 a lot, so he knows, and they know, like everybody knows, like if you go to that 11-7 route, you know what you're in store for. But I was gonna just mention there, like rather than trade for somebody, you could promote somebody within there, bring somebody up from the farm, say like Kesselring or even like a Vinny Diarnay or even Broberg once he's back to full health.
Yeah, that's the missing piece that we're waiting for right now, Broberg.
Yeah.
And what he cut himself like cooking in the kitchen or something like.
Yeah,
he came back, played one game, and then he was hurt again.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
It was
like
bizarre. I heard something there on Bob's show.
He's out.
Something bizarre.
He's out on Cuisine IR.
He'd hire that boy a chef.
So, your guys' biggest concerns thus far in the season?
For me, I would say the penalty kill is the biggest concern. Like we're still sitting at 30th in the league, even after a 5-for-5 night. We were in the high 60s until that Tampa Bay game. Now we're low 70s. They went to a new strategy. I just wrote a piece about this on Heavy Hockey. But instead of challenging the puck carrier and getting in shooting lanes, they're trying to use the high forward to get into a passing lane, which is it's easy to break down and it gives the puck carrier way too much time and space. So they're getting killed with it. It's not working. So they need to bail on that, go back to a little bit more of a standard PK, even what they were doing last year. And hopefully that'll settle down a little bit. That's
on Manson, am I correct?
I'm not sure, but I know Gullison does the power play, so I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to figure that out.
Your biggest concerns, Kirk?
Well, just the defensive play in front of the goaltending and defensive play, period, in their own end. Like, that's my biggest thing. Like, especially when they're playing with Campbell, and I know he's a new goaltender. He's trying to assert himself in. But if you're not getting the what you want or what you like, be vocal with the guys. Speak up. I'm sure they're going to be receptive. But I think that's one of Soup's downfalls is that he's too nice at times. You know, like when you seen. I hate to dredge up old goaltenders, but when you seen Smith, if something went wrong defensively in front of him, he let the players know a little bit too vocally at times, but yeah.
Happy medium somewhere there.
Yeah, like just tell them. Like, and I'm sure even mention it to Dave Manson and the staff. Like, hey, I need a lane in order to track the puck, or not being a yard sale the entire time there in your crease. So just more defensively aware, and I think that ties in with the penalty kill once again. Just be more responsible. Be more receptive. Like and work on it. That's the one thing, and everybody's crying, like with Campbell being a $5 million backup. Well, he's a new player. He doesn't know the systems all like down the heart, but at the same time, you got to help the guy out.
I'll dig a little deeper on what you're saying there. Are you concerned, like, once the zone is kind of established at their defensive play, off the rush, both, all of the above?
Pretty much all of the above. Like you take a look at their PK, it's sometimes it's a complete yard sale, and then you take a look at what they did in Tampa, and it's the exact opposite. It's the mirror image. Like, I can't believe it. It's Jekyll and Hyde, pretty much.
The PK, it seems like forwards don't know where they're supposed to be.
That's because of this new system they're doing. It's super confusing and it's ineffective.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like,
and then Woodcroft turns around and he says, "Well, we're going to simplify." Well, you got to stick with something. like make it simple so that everybody is on the same page.
Right. I mean, I don't know. You go back to a box and just quadrants and you obviously can't play man-to-man when you're shorthanded, so...
ever since Dallas Aikens, they've been doing the system where they play a high forward who's kind of following the puck, and then once that guy gets thrown out too far, the low forward comes up, or when it comes back to this point, right? They got a guy hanging out in the middle to protect the cross-team pass, and they got a high forward pressuring the puck. That's the way it's been for a long time. I didn't like that strategy either so much, but it's been working for him for a little while. But now suddenly they're hopping into passing lane. So it's a whole new read for the forwards, and it doesn't give them enough time to get over and challenge a puck carrier or to get into the passing lane sometimes. It's really easy to pass it through a guy and to the other one. Like on Washington's side, or in the Washington game, like Washington broke it down beautifully. There were 2 times where they just passed it right through the guy in the passing lane, and that broke it down, and it was a goal. That's a couple seconds later. So let's just keep it simple, get in shooting lanes, right to the puck carrier. Not difficult.
Yeah.
And in the defensive zone, they're playing man-to-man, which fine, a lot of teams do it, but we are struggling with man-to-man defense for whatever reason. So maybe going to a zone or some sort of hybrid zone man thing. I'm not the systems expert, but man ain't working.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't know. Like man-to-man, to me in hockey can be a lot of chasing. I mean, and if you're committed to that, it might work. But if you're not, then yeah.
Well, it makes reads a lot more difficult sometimes because defensemen get taken high way out of the zone, and suddenly you got forwards having to come back and play that position.
And they're and they're like a fish out of water when they're kind of below the hash mark. So.
Yep. Exactly. So keep it simple there too. Defense don't go above that hash marks. Wingers stay high on anybody that's below the hash marks.
And I was talking to a few of the Bakersfield fans there, and they've said that's the one stickling point with Woodcroft. He had terrible PK when he was in Bakersfield, and he's having a terrible time here with the PK here with the big club. So,
like it turned around for a little while when he first came in last season, because it was god awful with Tippett here for the better part of a couple months here too. Everything got better.
I'm gonna say
just simplified. He probably just said, "Yay!" Just simplified it, and it worked, right? So if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Some people don't like it, but I'm a fan of having McDavid out on your penalty kill. Put a little fear in the other team's eyes.
Yeah.
One thing we do really well on the penalty kill is we get a lot of chances shorthanded. Zach Hyman he's gotten so many breakaways as a result of it. Like our forwards know how to read the situation and get lots of 2-on-1s, and there's been lots of breakaways. McDavid playing in a system that generates a lot of chances shorthanded, that's a good strategy for sure.
And honestly, if there's a face-off at our blue line and he's out there, that doesn't hurt my feelings whatsoever. You win that draw and send him off on the races, and away you go. And
hey, if your high forward's not getting into a shooting lane, why not put him out there?
It seems to be like, they when they do use him, it's 10 or 15 second shifts. Like, it's not long. He's not out there very long.
But, it's at the end when his line's going out next.
Well, today it was he was out there sort of in the middle of PK, and I think that's good. Epiphany here says stop taking penalties, but McLeod too. That boy can move. Yeah, he definitely can skate. Biggest surprises thus far on the season?
Well, it isn't much of a surprise, but the play of Stuart Skinner, top 5 in the league there in save percentage, expected goals saved. I thought he'd be good, but not this good. So quite a contrast to Campbell for sure. But that's probably my biggest. It's no secret that I'm a goaltending guy, but just the overall, just his demeanor in the net. I've noticed even from preseason, he had happy feet there for a couple of games, especially the one against Calgary, and now he's just super calm, like that nothing can really phase him. Pretty much, if he gets a goal against like that second one here tonight, was kind of a fluky-ish goal there from Bennett, but I thought he just got right back up, got back on the horse, and just let's do this, and he's been awesome.
Yeah, for me, honestly, there's not been a ton that's been really surprising. Like the Oilers having slow starts has been a theme. That's old news. That's pretty consistent. Heavily reliant upon McDavid and Draisaitl for their offense. Yep, old news. It's been like that for quite a while. So defense is a little bit weak. Goaltending inconsistent. Check. Been there, seen that. Got the ticket stub for that show. So there's not been a ton of surprises. I think Tyson Barrie's play has been, a really positive development where he was viewed as a defensive liability in the last couple of years, but he's actually played decent this year on both ends of the ice. A couple goals today for him, which is great. So I'll say that.
That second goal today, that was like, let's go head to head and I'm going to beat you. That was quite the goal. The first one, a lot of defensemen score that goal. But that second one was, let's go head to head and I'm going to blow it by you. And I like that one for sure. Barry's been, a bright spot, I think, on the back end. Stuart Skinner's playing net has been good. A little bit of a resurrection from Nuge, I think, this year, which is kind of nice to see. Zach Hyman, just dogged determination and effort, usually night in and night out. I see similarities between him and kind of the Smitty, heart on your sleeve kind of guy, and I love that. Kane out 3 to 4 months. Can we be a better than 500 team in that stretch, or are we just trying to stay in the playoff picture until he's back and kind of get in and do what we did last year? What do you think there?
Well, we've been in second place in the Pacific Division for the last 2 or 3 years now, and we've only had Kane for half the season. So, yes, Kane makes our team a lot better, absolutely. But I think this team is good enough to still compete for this division even without Kane.
So, I guess Kirk didn't really get a chance to answer, but that's okay. That happens. Do you guys expect like a free fall from Vegas, or just slowly teeter off, or are they going to keep going? And conversely, does Calgary stay kind of shit in the bed like they have been, or do they, resurrect their season and come back?
I eventually think that Vegas is going to get out of wagon mode. They're like, they can only go for like that for so long. Mind you, Logan like I've said this like a broken record many a times, even on Michael's show. Logan Thompson he's really played well, and a lot of teams, there's been some nights where he's let a couple of easy ones past him there, but even with that tandem with Aiden Hill, Aiden Hill there before he came to Vegas, there he had a pretty shoddy career, and now he's playing in front of a very, very upgraded defense, and they've both been lights out. So it's tough to say. As far as Calgary goes, I think they're going to get better. I think they're in the same boat. Huberdeau hasn't produced like they hoped that he would, and Kadri's been kind of on and off, but he's still getting a point a game, I think, on average, I think. So it's going to be interesting to see there by Christmas time to see where everybody's sitting. I think it's going to be the good old fashioned parity. Like, it's going to be wafer thin. And if somebody stumbles and falls, look out.
Yeah, Vegas sitting at 13-2, 15 games in the year. We got 82, so 15 times 4 is 60. So 15 times 5 is 75. So Vegas is going to lose more than 10 games this year. Pretty sure. Right? They can't stay at this clip for the entire season. So I don't foresee a scenario where the bottom's going to fall up from underneath them and they're going to lose 10 straight at any point. But I think they're getting amazing results right now, but they'll come back down to earth a little bit. And I don't think we've seen the best of Calgary yet. They'll get a little bit better. Like, what, they lost 5 straight, 6 straight now, somewhere in there? Did they finally win a game in the last
7, I think. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it'll flatten out a little bit. The points will be a little more equal between those 3 teams, and we'll have a battle come down the stretch.
And the mighty Seattle Kraken, what goes on there?
You add a little bit of firepower in your top 6. Another year of being together.
Juggernaut.
A little less pressure. A little better goaltending. It's amazing what can happen.
I guess out-of-town scoreboard from Epiphany on YouTube is telling me that Flames are currently leading the Jets 1-0.
Winnipeg's been good this year, too.
Yeah.
Are they leading the Central or something like that?
Or second.
They are leading the Central.
Are they? Yeah.
They're tied with the Stars at 17 points.
Yeah.
But they have to give an hand.
Crazy. What do you guys think about the East there with Boston, New Jersey? Because we're playing New Jersey here, not this coming week, but the week after in Jersey.
Give New Jersey a lot of credit. Like, they're a really underrated team. Tons of speed, and they're getting enough offense. Like, Jesper Pratt, unbelievable player. You got Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier. You had Andre Palat, even though he's hurt right now. But even on defense, too, like the last couple of years, they've added a couple of really nice players in Ryan Graves and John Marino. And then you give up PK Subban, it opens up some cap space for you to do a little better things. And they got Dougie Hamilton, too, a high-end right-handed D. So goaltending's coming around for them, too. Like, everything's going well for them right now, so good on them.
You know what? I look back to that game against Jersey at home, and, we've got that 2-goal lead in the second period. The last 10 minutes of that period, I thought we were skating Jersey into the ground, but couldn't add to that lead. And, periods, I think, can have momentum shifts, but I think games and that can have momentum shifts that can affect 3-4 games down the line. And I kind of feel like the season, could have been catapulted forward a little bit if we would have walked out of that game with a win. They dropped that game, and then all of a sudden they're in a losing skid. And give Jersey credit. I mean, they hung around in that game. They didn't give up that next goal, and then they came back and took it away from us. And the one thing that really stood out to me in that game was their speed. It reminded me eerily of Colorado back in the playoffs. You get into a track meet with those guys, and I know that we went toe-to-toe and we held our own, but eventually you gotta create something other than running back and forth. They were pretty opportunistic, right? They just they took advantage of our mistakes and that was it. Lights out. Good night.
And that Ryan Graves goal was fluky. Hey, that shouldn't have gone through Skinner. Like, that's a lucky one. And then 7 seconds later, Jesper Pratt just made Niemelainen look foolish, and he got that breakaway and finished. So, like, Skinner makes that one save, we win that game, because that face-off play doesn't happen then.
That Nemo mistake, the outside-inside, I'm okay with that in the early parts of a season.
It's like you said earlier, he's a rookie. It's going to happen.
Yeah, learn from it and move on.
Better now than in March or early April or May.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
We'll keep you guys for another probably 10 minutes, but is Leon Draisaitl the best player in the NHL at batting pucks out of midair and just putting it down at his feet and carrying on like it's nothing?
Well, I don't know.
I mean, Pasternak had a nice one the other night.
Yeah, he did.
But man,
Nuge batted 2 out of the year there too. Like,
yeah.
then you take a look at McDavid there carrying the puck along, and he's batting it up in the air and going down the ice.
McDavid picked up a fucking new, what do they call it in a video game when you learn kind of a new skill? But over the summer, I mean, he's kind of developed this hacky sack stick shit. Yeah, I've seen him do that. I think 3 times this year, where he catches it kind of in midair, taps it to himself a few times, and keeps going. Like, holy shit, the guy is incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be lucky to do that standing still, let alone 35K an hour. Like, that's just insane.
Yeah.
Trying to beat Parayko wide and still getting a shot on goal, like just ridiculous.
Yeah. No, it's silly. How mad do you guys think John Tortorella is that Zegras did another Michigan?
He's probably losing sleep over it. Fists clenched in his sleep.
That would be fucking hilarious when Zegras does it against the Flyers, though.
Oh, that would pay to see that. That'd be funny.
See the smoke pouring out behind the Philly bench there.
We touched on Holloway for a second, but honest assessment, I mean, I don't think they can now, because I think their talent is depleted. But if Kane wasn't hurt, would you send Holloway back down or leave him up, or what do you think?
I think he's kind of the victim of his own success in the preseason, because the expectations went from about here to here. Right?
I think it was elevated even before that. Stauffer was, singing his praises when they brought him in for the one game last year in the playoffs. I mean, yeah, and I think our fan base just sees a talented kid and he's ready. Got to get him out there. Got to get him playing. And
yeah, I think Woodcroft made a big mistake by starting him in the top 6. That should have never been the case. He should have always been on the 3rd line to start the year. Like, 4th line, you wouldn't have been getting enough ice time. 3rd line would have been a good spot for him. Him, McLeod on a line, that's a ton of speed. Yeah, if Fogle in there, the way he's playing and has played this year, that would have been a really good 3rd line to start the year. But then you get a kid whose confidence is up here, his excitement level's up here, he's playing in the top 6, and then he makes a giveaway in his first shift. Whoa.
Yeah.
And then he gets hit and injured. Whoa.
Right.
And then he's back into the lineup and he's very unsure. And so it's taken him a few games to get his confidence back, but he's starting to make some plays at the puck, and he's starting to figure it out again.
I really liked his game after that giveaway. For the rest of that game, I thought he definitely looked like he was a NHL ready player. And rookies are going to make mistakes. That's going to happen. It's how you bounce back from it that kind of determine if you're really ready or not. And I thought he bounced back good today. I saw him. I don't know who he was jawing, but he was holding his own with the trash talk. So
that may have been Lomberg.
Lomberg. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, no, he was definitely giving it back to him, and you could read what he was saying. It wasn't very hard, and I like that. He's not a shrinking violet. He's not afraid to stand up for himself verbally, at least anyway.
Yeah, I see no reason to send him down at this point. Like, if he's gonna get top 9 minutes, there's no reason to send him down. Just don't play him in the top 6. Like, you got Holloway, you got Fogle, you got Yamamoto, you got Boyarvi. You got a lot of guys who can step in there and play.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't look like he has that sort of supreme confidence in the offensive zone yet, and he's been close a couple times to scoring a goal. If he gets one, then I think that'll come, but it's just not there right now.
Just like Fogle, you get one, the floodgates open a little bit. Give the kid time, he'll get it. But I don't think he needs the extra pressure of playing in the top 6.
Yeah, it's just you've got Nuge and you've got Hyman that are sort of contributing, but it gets pretty thin right after that. And there's 2 other wings to kind of worry about. So I think, maybe the idea is to just, give some guys some time and see if they can figure it out. And if not, shuffle a new guy in there and keep trying.
Yeah. So I just rattled off all those names. I can play the top six, but it's like you got McDavid and Dry, obviously. You got Hyman right now. You got New. So you got 4. So you got 2 spots for guys that probably shouldn't be there right now. So we got 4 guys that can be there. So that means we don't have 1 guy.
None of you have earned this, but here you go.
Yeah, we need you to do this. So step in there, kid. You got this.
Yeah.
But, Puljujärvi and Yamamoto have shown they can do it in the past. But, you look at their season averages, they're middle 6 guys. They're, bottom end second liners. They're not top line players. They're not at this point. We're waiting for them to break out. But the clock's ticking. It hasn't happened yet. So, I don't want to rely on those guys. But at the end of the day, someone's got to do it and someone's got to emerge. And they're in the driver's seat right now.
What if somebody like Bourgault gets on a heater there on the farm? He's doing pretty darn good as of right now. Do you bring a guy up and then send Dylan back down, or would that hamper his confidence at all? What's your guys' take on that? If you get a kid that's basically on fire there on the farm, you got to bring him up eventually, no?
If he's showing that the AHL is too easy for him, then sure. Why not? Right? They would go against the plan of over-ripening prospects. I don't think that's the way Holland likes to do things. But at the end of the day, this is the results business. And if you got a guy that's bringing it and you got guys up here who aren't, why not make the switch? Try it out.
With the Kane injury, that kind of opens the door to that kind of thinking now. I don't think that was even really in the realm of possibility so much before. It seemed like it's pretty hard for this team to make any moves whatsoever, being so tight up, kind of against the cap. I don't think I've seen much really out of Devon Shore, but would you bring Bourgault up and kind of shuffle your lineup a little bit and leave Holloway in it and kind of bump Shore from the lineup?
But here's the thing: when you bring up a guy like Bourgault, though, he projects as a top 6 guy. His skill set is sniping ability, hockey IQ, offense.
Yeah.
Right? He's not a checker.
Right.
Not a fighter.
I'm not saying dump him on the 4th line. I just think, you shuffle your lineup a little bit to...
Yeah. But what I'm saying, they wouldn't... I don't think the coaching staff would put him in the top 6, and I think you would have to. If you're bringing him up because he's lighting the AHL up and scoring a lot, he would need a shot with some skill players, and I don't think he would get that. He would probably be stuck on the 4th line getting no ice time, so you might as well get that ice time to a veteran like a Janmark or a Shore or somebody. Right?
Then I wonder if it isn't worth just a shot then. Just bring him up just to see. Just because... We really don't have a right winger that's, setting the world on fire right now, right? So
it depends how long Yamamoto's out too, right?
Yeah,
so,
that's what. Yeah.
Bring him up for 5 or 6 games, and send him back down.
And maybe be selective on when you bring him up too.
Yeah, definitely.
The Kings game. I don't know if that's that's Wednesday. That's kind of the next game. I don't know if that's ideal. But
and then Vegas right after that on the weekend.
Yeah, you might want to look for, and here goes there's lots of parity in the league, but you might want to look for a little bit of a softer opponent to kind of give him a look and see what he's like.
Yeah, that's not something I'd want to do right away. I'd want to wait until December, January, when the Dodgers.
I was going to say around Christmas, yeah. I heard good things.
Getting real tough.
I heard good things about Lavoie there too. I guess he had a really awesome night there the other night there. I think he got 2 goals against Ontario. I read there Bruce Kurlock there on Twitter there. Him and Kesselring have been setting the world on fire there as far as scoring. Kesselring leads the AHL in defenseman scoring. So
good on him.
Yeah.
if you guys
something to look out for, anyways.
If you're on Twitter and you want to keep up with the Bakersfield Condors and you want a good account to follow, it's B. Curlock. Yeah.
B. Curlock, yeah, definitely.
Oh, man. Yeah, so we've just eclipsed the hour. Any final thoughts, guys?
Yeah, I would just want to see a little more consistency out of the boys. It's all, we know that they have a lot more in the tank than this. We know their A game looks a lot better than what we're seeing right now. So I just want to see that come out a little more often. It shouldn't be this stressful with this much talent. So let's hoping for a little bit more in the next few weeks here. We'll see how it goes.
Be patient with Campbell. I know everybody's hitting the panic button there, and even I got into a shouting match there on Twitter the other night of firing the goaltender coach. It's just like, calm the F down. Like, it's not even the first quarter of the season yet. Just chill, have some dip, have a beer, have a smoke. Everything will be fine.
And polish off two very large, I can't even put them in the camera. They won't fit. Coors, yeah. You know, I don't know. My uncle said to me one time, he said, you know, a goalie coach can't turn a Pinto into a Lamborghini. He can only deal with what he's been given. So I don't know where I am with Dustin Schwartz. I don't know. For a while, I would think about him and I'd be like, well, this organization has changed just about everything you can. You know, they got rid of training staff and thought that was the problem, and they've changed garbage cans and pop machines and Coke machines and skating machines, and Dustin Schwartz is the only thing that remains, and he's probably the only guy on the staff that could survive a nuclear attack right on Rogers Place. The guy is a cockroach. He can survive anything. But yeah, to what you're saying, Kirk, I mean, I listened to Gretzky at intermission there, you know, saying there's an adjustment period when you get traded to a new team and, you know, a new city and all of that. And I don't know, I look back and I think, you know, Campbell was 20 seconds away from having a rock solid first period against the Hurricanes there. He was really good in most of that period. And one got by him, and then, you know, he started to think about it, and I think it kind of went off the rails for him. And I think if, you know, he survives that period and goes into the second, and, you know, things could have been a lot different. They weren't, so we got to deal with what is, and I think his confidence right now is rattled again, so I think it's going to take him a little bit to get it back, but I think he'll find his game eventually, and in the meantime, I think you ride Stuart Skinner, who's shown he's proven that, you know, he's up to the task right now, and he's in a groove, and you know, I think you sort of have to ride that and buy Campbell some time to figure it out and find his game. I don't think he's a shit goalie. I think he's shown that he can stop pucks and do the job, and, you know, kind of be sort of that resurrection of a Grant Fuhr kind of style, you know, where he's calm, cool, collected, and you know, not in his defenseman's grill and all of that. But in the meantime, you go to Stu, and he's in that groove. But I think for this team to, you know, go to where we want them to go, I think you're going to need both of these guys to find their game eventually. And I think you're going to need more guys to contribute offensively than what there is. And I think this team is going to have to learn to kill some penalties off, play a little bit more disciplined, and defend better in their own end. But it's a long season, and there's peaks and valleys in the season. And, you know, it looked like we were in a rut, and, you know, they find their game, and they've managed to find ways to beat some of the premier teams in the league.
And what did we get? 2 wins in 6 weeks, 7 weeks last year, and we made the Western Conference Finals. So, like, ups and downs. Right? There's always ups and downs.
Yeah, and you know, the one thing we'd all love them to learn is to not be notoriously slow starters, but that's been something that's been plaguing this team for I don't know how long.
We've been saying it. The media's been saying it. I'm sure the coaching staff.
And when they do have good starts, it's like blowout city. Like it just, they just come out like gangbusters and boom, they just every opponent they come out strong against, they beat them.
Yeah,
So
I think it's been proven, that it's not coaching that's the reason why they slow start. We've been through how many different coaches, and the starts remain. So I think it's just something that's notorious with this group.
David's been through 3 coaches now, right? McClellan and Tippett, and then Woodcroft now.
And Hitchcock.
The one concern.
Hitchcock briefly, yeah. So 4.
Yeah.
The one concern I have, like for a regular season, if you're chasing the President's Trophy, this would be a concern of mine. Not that I really care about that, but is that they seem to get up for games against, upper echelon teams, and sleep on teams that they probably should beat, or like Washington where they're missing players.
Yeah,
and that's a
that's still a problem.
That's a concern, but I don't know. I still think this is a playoff, caliber team, and once you get there, anything can happen. And I'm not expecting any big blockbuster moves in between now and the trade deadline. But I am expecting some things to happen at the deadline. Everybody thinks, well, let's do the Kucherov with Tampa, but I listened to Jason Gregor talk about, Kane's supposed to be out 3 to 4 months. He's not going to make that an extended stay, so it's 5 months so that he just comes back for the playoffs. He won't do that. His agent won't let him do that, and he won't do that. When he's ready, he'll be back on the ice.
Yeah, I think the Oilers want him for the stretch drive.
Yeah, so
Definitely.
Don't expect any Kucherov type moves out of this team, but
Kucherov might have been ready a week or 2 before the end of the season. It wasn't months.
Right, and yeah.
So there's rules against that stuff as much as it doesn't look like it sometimes.
I'm not ruling out any tinkering going on, but it's not going to be some massive move, and I think some help probably will come at the deadline for the back end. I think that's probably an area of concern for Ken Holland, trying to win a Stanley Cup. But between now and then, I'm not expecting any of that kind of blockbuster stuff.
I wouldn't expect it at all, just because, we have a little bit of space right now. I'm sure if you log on the Puckpedia or Cap Friendly, you'll see a bunch of cap space. But that's because Kane's out. Yeah. Once he's back, we lose that cap space.
Right.
We're back to having 10,000 or 3,000 or there's not going to be a lot of cap space. It's going to be money in, money out. How much are you really helping your team?
Yeah, you can't go out and acquire some massive piece right now without dismantling what you already have. It's just
it's going to cost you a $3 million player or more. Or more.
Yeah. So I don't see that kind of stuff happening. Just want to mention Ryan, like Lotsy there. He writes lots of articles. You can check him out at heavyhockey.com. Kirk over there on the far right, my right winger, has his own podcast, the Paddle Down podcast. He comes at things from the not so smart goalie perspective, but check him out. And thanks guys for joining me. Keep your sticks on the ice. Keep reaching for the stars. Go Oilers, go. Hopefully the next time I come on, Dash will be able to join. If not the next time after that. This has been episode 2 of Straight Off the Pipe for the 2022-2023 season. Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Yeah, everybody.
Night.